Good evening, everyone. Buckle up. Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. We've got quite the show for you guys tonight. First of all, joining me in the first segment of the program is Sean from SGT Report. We had a great conversation. You guys are about to listen to that. And then after that, joining me live here in the studio is going to be Captain Roy D. He's got a new book out about the deep state, swamp creatures, and our favorite Anon. And then finally, my other good friend, JasonWokeUpInVegas, is going to be joining us, and he's got quite the story for us. You're not going to want to miss it, so please sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a quick word from my sponsor. Alright guys, the game I want to tell you about today is called Throne Kingdom at War, and the reason I love it is because it reminds me of the strategy games I used to play when I was a kid. So let's check it out. You know what I love about this game is it's got all of the immersion and the amazing graphics that you've seen on mobile, except on your desktop, it's so much bigger and brighter and better. Plus, I don't have to worry about anybody giving me a call and messing up whatever it is that I'm doing. It's really sweet because it's totally free and it's got awesome graphics and lots of cool stuff you can do. It's got social features, meaning that you can just chat with other people in the game. You're supposed to join one of the authoritative orders and then surround yourself with reliable allies, or you can create your own order. But basically, you're supposed to conquer the throne and reign the empire by building big cities and huge armies. You can also exchange resources with your comrades and the people you become friends with, and then conquer the fortresses of other kings. You head out into the lands, you conduct searches, train your armies, arm your hero, and get him ready for all the new challenges that the game is going to throw at you. And like I said, the best part about it is that it's totally free to play. So join Throne using my link in the description below and get a sweet bonus of 200 gold coins for a kickstart. Trust me, it's worth your time and it's highly recommended. Alright, good evening everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. With me on screen, I have a very special guest, my good friend Sean from SGT Report. Sean, how are you today, buddy?
Hey, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm a little nervous now because I'm on stage. I'm on Red Pill 78 show. I'm outside of my comfort zone over on SGT.
Well, I think you're going to do fine. Don't worry about it. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming on the show. We've been trying to do this for a while, and there's been a couple of roadblocks, but finally the stars aligned. So, Sean, I have to say, I'm a big fan of your work.
Back at you, man.
I appreciate that. So I've been watching you for years, and you know, quite honestly, you were a big influence on me in terms of my decision to go ahead and actually start making programs instead of just watching them. So, you know, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about themselves, but I was hoping that you could just tell us, you know, how you got started. I mean, what was it that got you into making YouTube videos and putting this truth out to the people?
Yeah, sure. Hey, let me ask you something first, because
Sure.
I do watch your stuff and I post it at the Phaser and sometimes at SGTReport.com. Your headphones, you said something, people give you crap about those headphones, because I think I basically have the same exact ones, except mine also have a microphone, so even a little geekier.
Yeah, they're Sennheiser headphones,
Yeah,
studio
that's what I've got.
headphones. I mean, I think for people who don't do this stuff, I mean, they don't realize how beneficial it is to have, you know, your live audio going in to your headphones, so you can, you know, sense your vocal dynamic, you know, where you're at, make sure that you're actually recording. You know, I don't know. People will complain about literally anything.
That's
so
true.
It just happened to be that day I just got a lot more people than normal, and I don't know if it was maybe a targeted hit on me, but yeah, a bunch of people said something, so I said I'm going to try it, and then I decided immediately I didn't care for it.
Yeah, well, it's, you know what, be kind, people. I mean, come on, we're all out here trying to do the best we can, and we're, you know, fighting the good fight against absolute mockingbird troll whores. And I now have used that word, I use it frequently. They're the mockingbird mainstream media whores, because guys like what? Anderson Cooper gets $12 million a year to lie to the people.
Yes.
You go down the list, and they're all members, a lot of them anyway, are members of the CFR, Council on Foreign Relations. So, you know, we're all trying to wage this truth war, and we were winning, but they just cheat. So they changed their algorithms to shut us up and filter us out, And so I was on track to hit 1 million subscribers here in the next year, and now that'll never happen. My son asked me the other day, Dad, when are you going to hit 1 million subscribers? And I said, never. I mean, it's not going to happen now. I'm getting 1,000 subs a month if I get any. So, yeah. So how did you get started in this? And I'll turn the tables, but then I'll tell you about my experience because it all goes back to 9/11.
All right, quid pro quo. And as far as the subscriber thing, I can totally relate because when I first started, I was just phenomenal subscriber growth. It was tens of thousands, and it was pretty incredible. But then same thing. Now it's slowed down, and it's just a handful a day. I got started back in December of last year. I basically watched Trump, get elected as president. I saw that there was this tremendous change that was taking place. And then Q came on the scene, and I was, daily, keeping up with that and trying to decode things as I could and, dig and find all this cool stuff out and get into this research. And it kind of aligned perfectly with all of the research that I was doing up until that point. So, I was watching people on YouTube, and I had canceled my cable a couple years ago. And so the only place that I would watch stuff would be on YouTube. And for a long time, as I'm sure you're aware, YouTube was the place where you went to find information about things you couldn't locate other places. It was a lot of really interesting original research and things that are not going to be in the history books necessarily, or things that are going to be manipulated in the history books. And I thought to myself, this is something that I could do perhaps to help out and maybe give myself a creative outlet. So I decided one day, I said I want to go ahead and try making videos, and it just happened. I guess I didn't really initially anticipate that I was just going to run with it, but once I saw that there were people that actually did want to watch it, and I realized that it was something that I really enjoyed. I just decided that it was what I wanted to do, and I absolutely love it. I love being able to create something, watch it, see people have a response to it, and enjoy it too. I mean, you mentioned the Mockingbird media. And it's been a wasteland in the mainstream media for a long time now, and the idea that we are going to be replacing that, or potentially for most people, many people we already have, that is an amazing feeling, because many people, I believe, for years they saw what was happening, and there's kind of like this desperation, this hopelessness. How are we going to go up against this gigantic machine that they've created with essentially unlimited resources and the ability to just crush us and pump these lies directly into our homes, on our phones, on our TVs, on our computers, wherever it is. And to be
crush us with impunity.
Yes, with impunity.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do to Trump right now.
Exactly. And I love being able to support the president's mission, to help people understand that he might not be like the absolute perfect guy, in terms of his past, or even the way that he says things. But I think a lot of people really appreciate his honesty and the way that he comes out with something, and he's just plain matter of fact. He's not going to BS you. And to be able to support him in his mission is an incredible feeling, because he's also up against the exact same thing.
Yeah, let me ask you something about your subscriber count in a second, but you mentioned Trump just speaking matter-of-factly and off the cuff, and he's a very funny guy. They say he's not funny, he doesn't have a sense of humor. This was last night in Minneapolis, and the quote is this. I wrote it down. I watched the thing live, via YouTube, actually, and this is what he said, quote, "So now the Democrats are making a pathetic bid to save Sleepy Joe Biden. And you know what? I'd love to run against him, to be honest. If you can't beat him in a debate, you've got a problem, folks. Big problem." He's so funny. And then he went after Ilhan Omar. Hey, did you just tell me that you started your YouTube channel you started doing this in December? You said last year. Is that December of 2018 or 17?
Yeah, December 2018.
Okay, that's insane. You have how many subscribers?
166.
Do you know how long it took me to break 100,000 subscribers? I got started in around 2011, and I think it was probably closer to 2007 16 or 15, I don't recall, but wow. That's incredible, man. Well, look, and now they're changing their algorithms to slow us all down to a trickle and put us all out on a plantation on an island where new people can't find us. That's the problem. That's why my subscriber count has slowed to a trickle. It's because new people who aren't already subscribed to me, don't find my videos, and that's by design. So exactly. That's what they're trying to do, and that's why they're cheating by changing their algorithms. Google is no longer the tool it used to be. It was a useful tool to find information about World Trade Center 7, 9/11, vaccines, Agenda 2030, UN Agenda 21. Pick your poison, and now it's not that useful tool. It's a tool of officialdom. It's a tool of the cartel, of the deep state, of the globalist New World Order. That's what Google, I guess, has always been, but they had no idea that we were going to beat them in the town square in the fight for truth. And once we did start beating them, they officially just announced, well, we're going to change our algorithms to filter out what they call misinformation. When I say they, I'm talking about the ADL and their trusted partners that don't want our voices heard.
Exactly.
So it's freaking disgusting, man. It's an electronic book burning that would have made Orwell roll.
It can be a little disheartening at times, you know, but I think this is just a theory, but one of the reasons that I think I was so successful is because I came in basically at a time when they had already restricted all of the channels that I was watching. So, you know, I started creating content that, you know, we all, you know, produce similar types of things because we're talking about supporting the president and all these things that are true, that have been covered up all these years. And I just kind of slipped in past those censors, and it took them a couple of months to catch up with me. But once they did, that's when the stranglehold went down.
But have you noticed that there are certain people, and they're people that I brought on my show when they were just starting out and had, you know, 20,000 or fewer subscribers. Some of those channels now have 200,000-300,000 subscribers, and they're unrestricted. I see them get 57,000 views in 1 hour, wow. 212,000 views in 24 hours or more, 300,000 views in a day. That doesn't happen to my videos anymore, but it's happening to people in our space, some of these truth alt media folks. And I don't want to necessarily name them by name because I don't want them to become targets, but YouTube must be aware of this. And I think in some of the cases, it's just for plausible deniability from YouTube. They're targeting some of us, but not all of us, is what I've noticed.
I agree. You know, there's only one channel that I know of that fits that that profile that you just mentioned there. And
Give me the initials of that channel, and I bet you...
TP.
TP. No, I was thinking of BCP. Interesting.
Oh, okay. BCP as well. Yeah, you know what? I completely forgot about that one.
TP. Tim Pool. I'll say him outright. Yeah, no. He's absolutely, he's deep state approved. I don't know why. I guess because he tries to walk the line. You know, he walks the line. He doesn't even walk the line. He criticizes those of us who don't want to vaccinate our children.
Yeah, he does.
He criticizes those of us that say World Trade Center 7 shouldn't have fallen at free fall speed on 9/11 because that entire event was a false flag. So he goes out of his way sometimes to uphold officialdom. And so he's gets blanket approval and full monetization to the tune of probably about $50,000 a month in ad revenue.
Holy jeez, I can't imagine that. But no, you're totally right. I mean, Tim is just outside of the mainstream enough that they can look at his channel and say, "Oh, look at Tim. You know, he's not mainstream media. So, but we're not suppressing him and we're giving him ads." But he's just outside enough to give people, you know, this taste of it. So, you know, and I know the other channel that you're talking about, and I would have to say that, you know, based on certain standards that Google tries to publicly uphold, I mean, it's impossible for them to go against certain channels. You know, I mean, I hate to say it, but we are part of the only demographic of people in the United States where it's legal to discriminate against us.
Yeah, well, we are the targeted population now at this point. You should be ashamed of yourself if you happen to be Caucasian, and doubly ashamed of yourself if you happen to be a Caucasian in this country who's a male, and triply ashamed of yourself if you happen to be a Caucasian male who's not liberal. So we are absolutely under assault.
I'd say quadruple if you're Christian as well.
Oh, yeah. Let's not forget the big C word. You don't want to be a Christian in this society run by deep state liberals. It's just total madness. And I think people are waking up in droves. That's the good news. You've got the walk away movement, people literally walking away from the insane Marxist leftists and making videos about why they walked away and what woke them up. And many of them are saying, and now I'm a Trump supporter because he speaks common sense. I love my country. I don't hate my country or its borders. I love life. I don't necessarily want to see babies aborted in the 9th month. I don't want illegal aliens, which now they want to make that phrase illegal. You can't say illegal aliens in some, is it, where did I just see that? Is that in Canada? Or are they trying to pass that in New York State? I forget which, but they're now targeting language to protect protected classes. So these people want people who are not here lawfully to be able to vote in our elections, folks. That's how far gone the left is. Meanwhile, they're in bed with the Mockingbird, mainstream horror media, and the CIA, the intelligence agencies, to try to impeach this president, for the crimes of Joe Biden.
Exactly. You know, and it's like, what has happened to just the basic idea of self-preservation? Okay, we cannot maintain a country where people will want to, immigrate to if we allow it to be completely torn to tatters and, pressed into ruin.
But you know the answer to that. It's all by design. It's all George Soros globalist talking points. This is a Rothschild international banking cartel plan for a one world government. You can't have a one world government if you have a president like Trump and a nation that wants to embrace its sovereignty and the sovereignty of its people under a actual president. You want a puppet president like Hillary Clinton, whose best friend, really one of her biggest supporters, was Linda Rothschild, who also, by the way, was a huge supporter of John McCain. So trust me, guys, this isn't just a left-right issue. It's a patriot versus traitor issue. Yeah. And Hillary Clinton is a hardcore, I think, actual practicing witch and a traitor to the Constitution. Did you see her tweet the other day where she retweeted some congresswoman from 1974 or 1975 talking about ripping up the Constitution if Trump's crimes fail to reach the level to allow him to be impeached? She made the claim that perhaps we should get rid of this outdated, archaic document and just rip it to shreds so they can impeach Trump. Understand what that means, folks. She would be willing to take away we knew this already, but she tweeted about it. She'd be willing to destroy the Bill of Rights and the Constitution to get Trump out of office. Now, Q has said these people are sick and that they're pure evil. I don't think there's, short of finding the video of her abusing children, I don't think there's a better example of her evil than that.
You know, it's not surprising. I mean, considering, knowing everything that she stands for and all of the people that she's aligned with. But, your point is correct. I mean, we are looking at an impending one world government, and the only thing standing between that happening and our safety is President Trump. And I think, people like you and I were here on the front lines trying to get the correct and actual factual information pushed out to the public. And that's why they are so afraid of us. Sean?
Oh. Sorry, brother. I muted the line here because I was clicking around looking for a news item. But they're afraid of truth, too. See, that's why they can't beat us in the public square, because all they do is lie, or lie by omission, which is CNN's specialty and MSNBC's specialty. All day long, 24/7. I've said this a million times now. If you want to know the plan of the deep state, watch 1 hour of MSNBC, then go over and watch 1 hour, any time of the day, of CNN, regardless of their host, regardless of their deep state guests and pundits. Just watch 1 hour of each and you'll know the deep state plan. And the deep state plan is to ignore the crimes of Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and everybody on the left and target 24-hour-a-day programming against this president for unimpeachable non-crimes. So they've gone all in on this. And what's so horrific and disgusting about it, my friend, is that it's not just CNN and the MS. I can't say it. It repels me to say it. MSNBC. It's hard to get it out of my mouth. Look, my alarm clock goes off in the morning to the soothing lies of NPR because I want to hear what they're lying about. And then I turn on the morning news, the local news, and I hear them parrot the same lies. And then CNN, MSNBC, all of them are parroting. The entire media apparatus is turned around, with the exception of certain hosts on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
The entire apparatus is turned around on this man. Could you imagine trying to weather that storm every day when you know, look, I get angry about the algo changes at YouTube and Google because one of my core beliefs, one of my core values is justice.
Mm-hmm.
I loathe injustice. It repels me almost like nothing else. And the lack of justice in this case is so abhorrent to our values as patriots, as people who love this country, that we are hungry. We are dying for justice. And we are still yet to get it because the entire apparatus is ignoring the real crimes and trying to kick out the president who actually cares about this country to at least some extent, a hell of a lot more than that witch ever would have. And that's what makes this so hard. It's such a bitter pill, is the absolute injustice of what has been going on since he was elected.
Absolutely. I think this is a good segue because this is something I wanted to ask you about. I mean, we're in a unique position because, we're giving people information, we're cheerleading the president, and we're helping people understand all of these things as they happen. And one of the major complaints that I get from people, or that I hear quite often, is that nothing's happened. That they haven't seen justice yet, performed yet. I mean, I would say the same thing. We haven't actually seen justice yet. I think that is something that we're going to need to have, much like the trials at Nuremberg. We're going to have to see something publicly happen in order for people to realize that we actually have won and that these people are going to get their just desserts. It was announced yesterday that a couple of Ukrainians that were associates of Rudy Giuliani were arrested leaving the country on campaign finance violations. And I think that many people, as soon as they saw that, the first thing they think is, why is it that the laws only apply if you are a person who is somehow in the orbit of the president? Meanwhile, we've got people like Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. It wasn't just Hunter Biden sitting on the board of Burisma collecting $50,000 a month. Joe Biden received almost $1 million payment from that company just because he was helping to facilitate this relationship between them and his son.
All right. So this was on my things to talk about list as well. And it's an absolute outrage, but it's par for the course because we are bathed in nothing but lies by the enemies of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And I guess it's a rhetorical question. How do these people sleep at night? These people that get paid the money to lie all day long at all of these venues that we talked about. I mean, I literally don't get it unless they are actual communists. I made videos about this, the godless left. I think that's the answer. So 2 Giuliani associates arrested on campaign finance violations. Meanwhile, the whore media ignores the very clear crimes of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar in Minnesota. Her crimes are completely being ignored. And we're not just talking about campaign finance violations in her case. We're talking about marriage fraud. We're talking about tax fraud. We're talking about student loan fraud. We're talking about election fraud. We're talking about I'm not sure she is a legal citizen. We're talking about a woman who married her brother to get, this stuff is absolutely off the charts evil. And we haven't even scratched the surface of Hillary Clinton's crimes, all of which are ignored by the mainstream media. So of course they're going to target Giuliani. Mm-hmm. But notice they can't really hang Giuliani specifically on anything right now. So they're going to search for dirt on people that he knows, or people in his sphere of influence, or people that he's worked with. And they're going to pollute the pond just one turd at a time, one lie at a time. That's what they specialize in. I've said this before too. For those of us who are Christian and find value in the 10 Commandments, these people, the 10 Commandments are abhorrent to these people. They hate the 10 Commandments. And the one that they really love to violate is, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Because that's what they do all day long, and they specialize in it. And it does not, if you did that, if I did that, it would bother my conscience. It might keep me up at night. It would fill me with regret and sorrow. And at some point I might have to go seek the person out and apologize if, not them, not the hardcore left, not the radicals who worship people like George Soros and the Communist Manifesto. I mean, that's how far we've gone now. These people are so far gone, and they can sleep at night, the ones that are brainwashed into believing the Communist Manifesto is the way to go, the stupid idiots like the Antifa people, these godless, soulless, ignorant people that don't even understand that they are doing the bidding of the banksters, the international elite at the very top, the George Soros and above people. That's who they're doing the bidding for. And they can sleep at night because all they need to do is turn on NPR and have their points of view supported all day long. Turn on CNN. They actually think they're walking on the side of right. You know, I listen to this guy, Mark Maron, a lot. He does this podcast.
Yeah.
Hardcore lefty, hardcore lefty. He's on this show, Glow. He's a comedian. He flies around and sells out auditoriums and stuff. He's a pretty popular guy. I like the way he interviews people. So he'll have on people that are authors or actors or directors or just from all walks of life. I like the way he talks to them, and I like the way they talk to him. But without missing a beat over the past month or two, well, always pretty much, but over the last month or two, he started his podcast, the first 10 minutes, glowing, just gleeful about this shit that's being thrown at the president. And he'll call the president a bum and a scumbag and a liar. And he laments the direction of the country. And he thinks people like you and I are completely brainwashed idiots that because we're white males that are Christians are, of course, going to just follow the Pied Piper, Donald Trump, because we're stupid and we like his hateful message. This is literally the stuff he says.
Wow.
So that's the problem, man, is these people, even the ones that aren't like willful communists, are completely brainwashed. And guess what? Kind of come full circle here, because remember I just said I made a video about the godless left. Mm-hmm. Mark Maron's an atheist. So is Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan is showing more lefty leanings every single day. So I don't know, man. I think that at the end of the day, you want to take God out of the equation, what do you get? Go to Portland and hang out with Antifa.
So how do you face that every day? I mean, when you get up and you're making shows and people comment on your videos and say, you know, Sean, where are the arrests? When are we going to see this happen? You know, what sustains you?
Hope. The fact that, you know, William Barr is the AG, and the fact that I do know that things are going on behind the scenes and I's are being dotted and T's are being crossed. But look, I'm not one to make deadlines. I've had people on like Liz Crokin and others that will say, oh, by November, we're going to see arrests, or, you know, by January 1st, 2019, we're going to see Hillary or whoever at Guantanamo. Mm-hmm. I'm not in that prediction business, because you just can't be there and continue to have your audience support those statements, because none of us know. I mean, none of us can make those predictions. But I've said a million times, one of the happiest days in my life would be if Hillary Clinton was arrested and charged for her crimes. And I don't know if we're going to see it, because, again, this swamp that Trump has rightly pointed his finger at and talked about repeatedly is, I think, far, far larger than any of us dreamt. Like, I knew it was big, but I had no idea it was this entrenched. And it reminds me of 9/11, because I remember walking around telling my friends and colleagues when I realized that there was more to the story of 9/11. I was doing this openly in a corporate work environment. Close friends, but I'm like, you can check this out. Have you ever seen this? This is insane. Let me show you this video. I showed them World Trade Center 7. They're like, so? I'm like, this happened on 9/11. Okay, so stuff got hit by airplanes. What's your point? Watch this thing collapse, man. This is crazy. Buildings can't collapse like this. Dude, did you not see the airplanes hit the buildings? No, dude, you're not watching this. Listen to me. This collapsed at 5:20 in the afternoon, and the media ignored it. Don't you think that's weird? No, I don't think that's weird at all. The freaking airplanes hit buildings, dude. The building probably had a lot of damage. But, all right, I want you to watch this video. Check this out. This is BBC reporting at 5 in the afternoon about the collapse of that building, dude, and it's standing behind her, right? They're just reporting about the Solomon Smith Brothers building collapsing. Jane Stanley, watch this. Dude, that's probably photoshopped. I mean, what are you saying? What I'm saying is there's more to the story, man. I don't think that what happened on 9/11 was just the fault of Osama bin Laden and some dudes from in caves. So that's the problem. We are up against hardcore entrenched normalcy bias by a lot of our friends, neighbors, and colleagues. And the swamp is huge. And my point about bringing up 9/11 is that at that time, with those friends in that work environment, they didn't want the information from me. They couldn't believe it. And what I'd hear time and time again is, dude, if what you're saying is real, some hungry young journalist or reporter would break that wide open and it would be everywhere across the country. So obviously you're full of shit. It's not a false flag. It's exactly what they said it was. To which I'd respond, a young hungry journalist who doesn't play ball doesn't get to be a journalist at the Washington Post anymore or CNN. I mean, so I was up against that, I guess I keep calling it normalcy bias, but that mental roadblock. But now we can see it. We can see what I was describing, right? We can see the apparatus that will not be truthful about the crimes of Biden and Clinton, turning itself around and focusing only on one man who hasn't committed any fraction of those crimes. So we can see that apparatus that protected the 9/11 official story and wouldn't tell people about World Trade Center 7 and tried to make people like you and me look crazy for talking about it. That same apparatus is showing its true colors now by targeting Trump and ignoring these other crimes. So that's what I mean by the swamp is far, far larger than we could have ever imagined, because it wasn't quite this blatant. I mean, I guess I knew it was in 2010 and 2011. Yeah. I knew that it was, but I didn't see it quite so explicitly as how we're seeing it now.
I absolutely agree. And I truthfully did not realize the scope and scale of it either when this all started. You know, I was thinking of the swamp just as, you know, the dirty politicians in Washington. But there's a lot of money in Washington, and that money extends throughout the entire country and across the entire globe. So we're really talking about, you know, a global cabal of evil people who will stop at nothing to maintain that power and hold on to it. You know, real quick, is that why you started making videos? Based upon your experience there in the workplace, trying to teach people about what happened?
Yeah, real quick, I've shared this only maybe once or twice before, but years and years ago. So the 9/11 thing was really an eye-opener for me on that day, which I guess I didn't fully start to wake up to it, but here's why it was something I knew was wrong that day, because I saw the first plane hit live on the Today Show as I was getting ready to go to work. I called my buddy at the time, Dave, one of my best friends at the time, and I said, dude, you got to turn on the TV. Something weird's going on in New York City. And as we're having the conversation, I'm like, it's a beautiful blue sky day. There's no way an airplane could have hit the World Trade Center 7. And as we're having the conversation, the second plane hits. I said, holy shit. He's like, what? Because he was driving. I'm like, a second plane just hit the other tower. He said, what? So we're freaking out, right? I stay home for an extra, I don't remember, 30, 40 minutes watching this stuff. And I make the decision to go to work because I wanted to be around my other friends. I had a close group of friends at work. This was Target Corporation, by the way. I used to be a director for them of commercials.
Okay.
And an executive producer. And I had close friends, poker buddies there. So I wanted to be to work. I wanted to get to work and just be around friends that day. My wife was at work. My kids were at school. So I get in the car and I drive to work, which took me about 20, 25 minutes. And I walk in and I see my friends that are there, and we go back to the machine room, the control room, and we've got all these networks up. And I say, where'd the towers go? And they're like, oh, they collapsed. I'm like, what? What do you mean they collapsed? So here's the thing. I didn't see that. Like, that didn't brainwash me the way it brainwashed people who were living through the trauma live. I didn't see those buildings collapse live, which would have been, I think, another level of the brainwashing to some degree. So for me, because I had already processed this in my head, I swear to you, this is the truth. I had processed in my head after seeing the holes in those towers while I was driving to work thinking, you know what's so weird about this is that later today, those fires will be out and I wonder how they're going to fix those buildings because they're fixable, right? At some point, those buildings will be repaired and it'll be like this never happened. And then I get to work and I find out the buildings just vanished. So it took me a while to get my head around that, but keep in mind, all they kept showing all day long then was the slow motion and so I got to watch it and watch it and watch it and watch it again, and it just sunk in that something didn't add up. And why were people jumping out of those towers? Do you know how scary, like, that's the culmination of all fears. I don't particularly love heights. Like, I don't have a problem with heights in generally, but standing off the edge of the World Trade Center that's on fire after an airplane hit it, and there's a towering inferno and you're literally clinging to the side of that thing,
Yeah.
the sum of all fears. Who would choose to jump out of that thing? You'd only choose to jump if the heat inside was so unbearable that it forced you against your will out of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what happened. So then you can get into nanothermite, and you get into all the research of AE 9/11 truth, and you get into all the research of Richard Gage and Stephen E. Jones, and it's a rabbit hole. And I went down all of it, and I bought all of the is it David Griffin books? I've got all of those, and the official story is absolute bullshit, and anybody that looks at that knows. But they don't want you to look at it any more than they want you to stop vaccinating your kids, man. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're up against. It is a truly heartless, evil cabal that is very Machiavellian in its thinking, and the ends justify the means. Well, some people who might go partially down this rabbit hole, but could never imagine the intelligence agencies being so evil, they might extrapolate and believe, oh, well, the ends did justify the means because we had to take the fight to the terrorists before they brought it here. So that's why they let 9/11 happen. No, it's much, much bigger. The ends justified the means for these people to get their globalist new world order. And I think part of the problem, part of the puzzle was gutting this nation financially, gutting this nation of its soul, gutting this nation in every way possible by taking us to war after illegal war. And I'll shut up now and let you talk because my wife's calling. So hold on. She's traveling today, so I wanted to make sure she's okay. I think she just landed. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
But go ahead. Let's talk.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, what I was going to say was that, first of all, appreciate you telling the story. I had, a very similar thing happen to me on that day. I was at work. I heard on the radio, actually, that a plane had hit. And and I stood up and I was talking to my cube mate, and he was like, okay, same thing. He said, well, they're going to rebuild. Everything will be fine. These are the toughest buildings that have ever been built. They're built to withstand an impact like that. And I was driving home, and that first building fell. And then I watched the second building fall. But when I watched it, I saw it come down at free fall speed, and I was like, there's absolutely no way that the plane did that. Doesn't matter, where the plane hit. It's impossible based upon the way it was constructed. And I tried to talk to people about it at that time, but same type of thing. People just wanted to, accept it because it was so traumatic. The idea that, anything other than what we saw happened was, very difficult for people to believe. And, the vast majority of people around me, everybody was so pumped up with the idea that, we were going to get the SOBs who did this to us. So, there was just like this fervor that everybody was wrapped up in.
Yeah. Well, look, you know what? Remember when I said I sat there all day long in the machine room and I told my engineer, record all this shit because the world changes today? Mm-hmm. He's like, what? Just record everything. Yeah. So we put in tapes and we're recording all these live feeds and stuff. I didn't see World Trade Center 7 that day. I didn't see that collapse. No. They ignored that. They went out of their way to ignore that. So I know it was broadcast by some networks. I missed it. And I didn't see World Trade Center 7 until, I don't know, a couple years later probably. Me so too. Then I really, 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 really woke up, right? Then the pieces of the puzzle all came together.
Yes. So same thing. I remember seeing the footage from the street where you saw the center of the building, buckle and then everything collapse, and then seeing the BBC footage, watching her talking about the fact that it's collapsed and you can clearly see the building right behind her, and then of course you've got Larry Silverstein saying pull it. I was like, yeah, okay, well there you go, you've got it right there. We know exactly what happened.
Yeah, and he walks away with what, $4 billion? He had the damn towers insured double indemnity against acts of terror, and he took ownership or whatever, he leased the damn things 3 months before. Yep. A 100-year lease. It's just absolutely preposterous. I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
What do you make of what the hardcore, evil Rothschild, somewhat Rothschild-owned PG&E is doing out there in California, shutting off the power to 900,000 or more Californians? I mean, can you believe what these assholes are doing? I'm sorry to be using foul language today, guys, but I'm just fed up. I am just absolutely fed up of these people getting away with all measure of evil, and there's no recourse. They just do what they want with impunity. These are the same people. PG&E caused the campfire, right? What they called the campfire, that devastating fire. They caused it through their negligence because they weren't trimming back trees by the power lines. Many of us would suggest it's even more nefarious than that. But they caused it. And now what? They're just going to, in the name of preventing fires, cut off the power to 1 million people for as many as 5 days?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. It's interesting because I don't know if you remember during the, I guess, 2000, I was living out in California in San Diego, and we had what were called rolling blackouts back then. There was supposedly not enough fuel to power the power plants to keep everybody's lights on all the time. So you'd have, periodically different parts of California would have, no power. They would just shut it off. So it just seemed to me kind of like a rehash of what they were doing back then. I thought maybe it was something to do with kind of preparing people for the idea of living in this post-apocalyptic world where, you're even more dependent upon the state at that point because, what are you going to do? You don't have any power. I mean, many of those homes in California, you need air conditioning. You have to have power to run, all of your appliances. The idea that they're shutting it off to stop additional campfires from taking place is, perhaps just to, I guess, make people forget about the fact that they did cause those fires in the past. And I believe it wasn't just one. I believe there was a couple of different fires that PG&E caused.
And
it's
the previous year as well.
Sheer negligence. And so now they can say, oh, well, we're going to shut off the power so this doesn't happen again, Well, all you need to do is just keep up with your maintenance and, continue to send people out to service this stuff, and we can make sure. I mean, it's an odd thing to me to see them shutting off the power to these people when they're allowing, illegals to come streaming across the border, giving them sanctuary, giving them free medical care, giving them free government money every month. We've got so many people all across the country, children that are not being fed, veterans that don't have homes, people without basic services who are living hand to mouth on a daily basis just to, survive at what meager rate they are. And we're giving thousands of dollars away to people who really honestly do not have the right to be here. And, this is one of the things that gets at me is seeing this in action from Congress and looking at the Dems and the left and they are, all about having these people just come into the country, stream on in, give them everything they need, while at the same time, people all over America are suffering. And, mind you, it's better than it was. I think that, everything President Trump has done has lifted up most of the country, but there are still a lot of people out there who are not in a good position.
Yeah, I agree. I think what's going on, though, more specifically with regards to what PG&E is up to, is this is in part the brainwashing of UN Agenda 2030, right? Because this is what's coming if they take away our current forms of energy, which all of the people on the left are eager to do in the name of saving the planet, right? So in part, it's part of the brainwashing, but I haven't looked specifically at the 34 counties affected by this PG&E mass power outage, but I wonder how many of those counties, what percentage of the population is more red-leaning, more Republican? Is this punishment, I wonder? Because I heard this was hitting Northern California and Central California. And, in Northern California, it leans far more Republican. California should be broken up into at least 4 different states.
I agree.
Some arguments are 6 or 7 different states. And that's the truth. Because clearly what's going on in, where's the capital? Is it Santa Barbara? I always forget. But those people do not represent the whole. Sacramento. They don't represent the population as a whole. They represent the Silicon Valley, San Francisco thinking. That's what's going on in that state. So if you want to see, guys, what's going to happen under Rothschild, partial owners of PG&E, Rothschild, UN Agenda 2030, George Soros, globalist talking points, parroted by Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. Got to remember, if we don't give up our forms of energy, we're all going to be underwater. The world will end by 2030. Do you think that that's a coincidence? UN Agenda 2030, AOC is out of her mind, petrifying all of these young people that the world will end by 2030 if we don't do exactly what's outlined in Agenda 2030. If you want to see what's going to happen to the rest of us, by 2030, if we allow these godless people to take control and do the bidding of the globalists, look no further than California. Okay? They're going to shut off your power, and you will live as serfs in the name of saving the planet. Because what they don't want to do is they don't want to lift up the third world to second or first world living standards. They want to take our living standards and drag us down to the second or third world. Thereby, we're all equal, right? That's what they promise, is equality under UN Agenda 2030. But what they don't tell you is the equality means you're going to be poor like the other 95% of the people in this country or in the world who live on, I guess it's not 95%, but I think it's probably 75% of the world lives on $2 a day or whatever it is. Yeah. That's where we're headed, folks. UN Agenda 2030 is being carried out and implemented right now. Every single day, it rolls out a little bit further in California. And what it means is serfdom for the rest of us. Because as I've talked about with Harley Schlanger, they're not going to replace the technologies they take away. They're not going to replace what they call fossil fuels with new green technologies or hidden technologies or free energy technologies. They're not going to do it. They don't want to do it. They want to eat this planet up for themselves. They want to green the planet for themselves. They want to depopulate the planet for themselves. It's very, very nefarious and very insidious, and it's scary as hell once you start to realize what's actually going on.
Absolutely. Equally under the boot heels of our new rulers. One thing that I think maybe gives me a little bit of hope is the announcement that the UN is going to be running out of money by the end of the month. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't think it'll be a problem because look at the DNC. They're bankrupt, and the DNC still gets to be the DNC. Like, we've got this bogus two-party system, right? And the DNC is literally bankrupt. Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Hillary Clinton and all of these nutty, insane people who hate this country bankrupted the DNC. So they literally have such little support right now that they were, at my last count, $10 million in the hole. I'm sure it's far, far worse than that. So it'll just continue. I don't know, just like this country gets to continue when we're $20 trillion in debt. I think the UN will just crank along. I don't think debt will be a problem.
Yeah, you're probably right. I guess I was hoping that since they're going to be running out of money, maybe they will have to close up shop, and maybe we can take back our land in New York.
Which was donated by David Rockefeller, by the way. The land upon which the United Nations sits was donated to the United Nations by the founder of the Council on Foreign Relations and the evil globalist David Rockefeller, who was proud to be called a globalist, which he wrote about in his own memoir.
Yeah, very famously.
You can't make this stuff up, man. And the other thing is that we've got an economic situation in this country where every other nation wants to move away from the dollar. And I think the day of reckoning is coming, and that doesn't really get talked about that much. So we can worry about that too. I mean, we don't have enough stuff to worry about, so let's add that to the list.
I actually wanted to ask you about that. I mean, what do you think? Because I had Bob Kudla from Trade Genius on yesterday, and we were talking about the idea of a currency reset. We've got these BRICS nations standing against the United States now. The dollar is no longer the reserve currency of a lot of countries that it used to be. We've got other countries, buying and selling oil not in the United States dollar. How close do you think we are to a world where the United States does not have financial hegemony, if you will?
Potentially very close.
Yeah.
And so my next interview is going to be, I've already recorded it, and I think it'll probably post tonight, but if not tonight, this weekend, is with David Jensen. And I've had David on before. Really interesting guy. He's a partner, founder of Jensen Strategic, owner of a precious metals mine, which is about to go back into production. And he's extremely alarmed. I've got a chart here. I guess I can't show you, but
you can do the screen share.
Yeah, it's on. I'm working two computers here, so it's on my editing one, and I'm on the Zoom one with you. But anyway, it's the year-over-year change in money supply, M2 money supply. So the real measure of the true money supply is now as low as it was in 2007, the last great financial crisis, and it's lower than it was in 2000, 2001 during the dot-com market crash. But that's just one thing. There's so many other emergency markers flashing right now, including the repo overnight lending rate between banks having hit 10% recently.
Yeah.
The shakiness internationally of these international criminal banks is far worse now than it was in 2008, because remember in 2008, they papered over all of it with TARP.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then the banks went back to work, making money, getting big bonuses for all their guys. And of course, JP Morgan now being investigated by the DOJ, their precious metals trading desk is being called a criminal enterprise. So they just went back to work, the work of being criminal bankers, which is what most of them are. And they have gotten us far deeper into debt with derivatives and everything else. And when this thing blows up, which it inevitably will at some point, it is going to mean a reset. And what I asked David Jensen about was, what does that reset look like? Because my fear, I asked him, and because Pkwy and I kind of disagree on this to some extent, Bix thinks it has the potential of being a wonderful reset where everybody's debt gets wiped away. My fear is that that's not the case at all. It'll be like what we saw in 2008. It'll be the debt of the banks gets wiped away with more paper, and our purchasing power plummets. So what does it mean? A new currency gets introduced, and suddenly your wealth, whatever wealth it is that you thought you had, be it in your 401k accounts or your bank accounts or whatever, is it suddenly replaced by new currency that's only a tenth as valuable as the dollar you had? Will our purchasing power go down 50%, 60, 90%? I don't know, and nobody knows. But people, smart people who've been talking about this for a very long time, are fearful that it is coming, and we have never seen the system quite as shaky as we're seeing it now. So how this plays out in the short term, I don't know. But the long game is our goose is cooked, right? This can't go on forever. But if there's any good news, it's that the other nations are pretty much in the same boat, right?
Yeah.
China, printing more than we've ever seen any nation print. Japan, the same thing. The EU. So I guess I don't know how to answer your question other than to say people should try to be prepared with tangible assets. And when you guys listen to that interview with David Jensen, that's how we wrap it up. I know it seems very basic, but it just needs to be said. You know, your stocks in your 401k, those aren't tangible. Because when the liquidity dries up, there will be no one to buy them when you want to sell. So that's the problem. At least if you have land and you have precious metals in physical form, if you know, these types of things are tangible.
Or even supplies or your skills that you can use to trade for goods and services.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully we don't have to go to back to some system of barter, but it's new territory. I mean, I guess the world has never seen this before. This country went through it in 1929 and whatever with the Great Depression, but we've never seen this globally before, with all of the banks intertwined, and the banks also in debt with assets that they can't trust because they've all been hypothecated and rehypothecated and traded and put into dark pools and black pools and all this lunacy with computer trading. They don't know what they have, so they don't trust each other with overnight lending. That's the takeaway with the repo market. Why did these rates spike to 10%? Why is the Federal Reserve, the privately owned central bank of this country, promising to provide liquidity to these criminal banks in the overnight markets because they don't trust each other? So the Federal Reserve says they'll step into the tune of billions of dollars every single night or whatever. Why is this happening? Well, it's because the banks don't know what they hold. It's all wrapped up in derivatives. It gets back to, you remember that whole show me the note thing back in 2008, 2009, 2010? People were like, hey, my mortgage is probably not with my lender to whom I send the payment every month. My mortgage may have been wrapped up in some of this garbage and sold to Wall Street with mortgage-backed securities, and nobody knows who holds my mortgage. So there's a lot of people, and I tried this with my lender, and they claim they've got my note. But show me the note. Some of you people are paying for mortgages that maybe you're paying a lender who doesn't actually hold the title to your home anymore. And nobody knows where that title is because it got wrapped up into these mortgage-backed securities. That's a whole nother thing. That was a big deal then. Remember how that just went down the memory hole?
I remember that.
So it's a big, giant swamp. All of it. Economically, the banks, the criminal whore media, it's a giant swamp. And I don't know.
Sometimes
gird your loins and pray to Jesus. I don't know.
That's about all you can do, you know? I mean, at this point, I'm kind of just feeling like we're along for the ride, you know? I mean, hopefully everything is going to air out and we won't, you know, get hit too hard. But I think that the most important thing is that, you know, people are prepared for whatever is going to go down. Tangible assets, like you said, that's a great idea. I had a couple people comment on the video, you know, like, this is great information for people with money, you know, but yeah, I mean, even if you don't have money, you can, you know, you can still use whatever you have in front of you when it comes down to it. If there's no, you know, fiat currency left, if there's no money left, then, you know, people can still have, you know, some type of bartering and trade in order to get along and trade value with each other.
Yeah. Well, meet your neighbors, you know, try to meet like-minded people. At the end of the day, that's going to be the most important thing. And I'd say stay away from areas like Portland where, you know, you've got these leftist mayors. Minneapolis, a leftist mayor. You know, get away from these places where when the SHTF hits the fan, like my friend Max Slavo likes to say with his site, shtfplan.com. Get away from these people. You do not want to have to rely on these Antifa brainwashed people in the inner city to help make things better when the lights go out, because they're the people that are going to be the first in the streets burning the thing down.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's pretty disgusting, but I appreciate you having me on today. Have we pretty much exhausted our time here?
Yes, we have. I was just going to ask if you had anything final that you want to share with the audience.
Not really. I guess I would just say, you know, pray a lot. You know, I did a video recently talking about the nature of the earth, and I'm not a flat earther, but I had an interesting conversation with a guy named David Weiss, who is asking a lot of interesting questions. And it just begs the question, guys, you know, what is this reality that they bathe us in? What is it really? Because we know that they lie to us about everything. The mainstream media, the swamp, they're liars. And I think they worship the father of lies. I mean, I really do. At the end of the day, I think this entire conversation should have been couched at the beginning that it is spiritual warfare. That's what's happening on this planet. We are engaged, and our enemy is engaged against us in spiritual warfare. And they don't want you to know that you're special. They don't want you to know that you were created in God's image. They don't want you to know you have a creator. They don't want you to know that the beauty of this planet was not an accident. It didn't happen by some random big bang. That's all bullshit. They know it, and at the top, highest levels, that's their secret occult knowledge. They know the nature of this planet, and they know you're special, but they retain their power through fear and keeping us afraid and keeping us separated. And when we come together, right, and we're all willing to humble ourselves before the Creator, which the left is not willing to do. Hillary Clinton cackles because she loathes God. She loathes the Creator. These people, I don't know what. I guess the final word here, man, is this is what I don't understand about these people. If they actually understand what they're doing and how evil they are, how do they sleep at night unless they truly believe that the fallen angel that they worship, Lucifer, will give them unbelievable power in the next world? They are so deluded and they are so sick that it defies belief for any of us that are right-thinking Christian people that do humble ourselves before a creator. Because I would never, ever dare to stand before God and laugh in his face, but that's what they do. That's what they're doing every day on this planet, is they're laughing at the Creator because they think they have some just reward in the afterlife that's going to be given to them by Satan. I truly believe that. A lot of them believe that. And it's not all of them, not everybody on the left, but a lot of these world's leaders, the occult stuff they're involved with, it's truly frightening. And it speaks to the very nature of the spiritual warfare that's happening on this planet.
Absolutely, Sean. All right, well, thank you once again for joining us today, Sean. And we've got Sean from SGT Report and thephaser.com, also SGT Report on YouTube and on Twitter, I believe, correct?
Yeah, that's right. SGT Report on Twitter. And then my other site is the Drudge Report of Truth Media, and that's thelibertymill.com.
LibertyMill.com. Okay, great. Well, thank you for joining us, Sean, and thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Don't go anywhere. We've got a couple more interviews coming up, and we'll be right back after this. All right, I just want to say thank you so much to Sean for coming on the program tonight, you guys. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. We have a couple of bang-up guests coming up next. First of all is going to be my good friend, Captain Roy D. Captain Roy, welcome to the program. How are you tonight, sir? Go ahead and unmute yourself. There we go. Got you unmuted. What's up, Roy? What's up, buddy? You're there. You're here, sir. I can hear you. I can hear you clicking. You can't hear me? How about this? Can you hear me now? Okay. Hey, thank you very much to everybody who was here for the first part of the program. I just want to say, if you are not subscribed to Sean at SGT Report, you can find his information in the description box below. Also in the description box below, you can find the information for my good friend Captain Roy D. and the new book that he has written, White Hats, Swamp Creatures, and QAnon. Roy, welcome back to the program. How are you, buddy?
Real good, Rob. Happy to be back with you and your fine audience again.
Awesome. I'm glad you're here, man. So you've done nearly the impossible. Again, you have a #1 book, which is about our favorite Anon. Why don't you tell us what this book's about?
Well, really, it's an expansion of the book that we all did together, that you, me, and Space Shot, Zero Brain Joe M, everybody on the Great Awakening. We had our 1 chapters, and I had it actually pared down. I had about 200 articles at the time, and I had to pare it down to about 15 to fit in that chapter. And the publisher had kind of mentioned jokingly, that if something came of this book, that down the road we might be able to make use of the rest of the material that we couldn't use. A lot of it's valuable, and so that really was the genesis of it. And we've been working on this since our book came out, Red Pill. We've been working on this since March with the same publisher. And it's taken us this long to get this out, but it's off to a real good start. Very thankful to the community and the early support.
Awesome, dude. I haven't had a chance to read it yet because it just became available.
I haven't even got mine yet. They're just starting to arrive right now. Mine came in, but my post office is closed. I got a copy of I sent you a copy of the first page because I wanted to see how the General Flynn dedication page came out. My new girlfriend sent that to me, so
right on.
So we have that.
Well, that's actually something I wanted to touch on. You actually got a dedication by General Flynn. So talk about that, man. Tell us, what you went through. I mean, you actually spoke with the Flynn family.
Well, actually, it goes back to the first book for our Great Awakening book, because the Joe M's, and I know you talked about that with Sean. That was a real nice interview earlier. Yeah. But you talked about Joe M's plan to save the world, and that was our first chapter. And then General Flynn's speech about the digital soldiers was our second chapter. And so I had to I worked with his sister, Barbara Redgrave, out in California to make sure that, that everything was okay to use that part of the speech. And I said, at the time, you remember, we were striving just to break even for Monica, to sell enough copies. And so there was no talk of profit initially. I said, if anything come of, doing good, I'd talk to the people. Some of the guys, were doing charities with their portion. So we were able to redirect some of that money from the first book over. So that's how I had a relationship with Barbara and the Flynn family. And then when the second book came out, we were talking about the where are we going when we go, all scholarships. We couldn't actually agree on a general thing for the first book. We had 12 people. We were lucky to get the darn thing out. How tough
Absolutely.
that was. And so anyway, so I said, if I give him the opportunity, that I would dedicate this next book. In my mind, I said that to General Flynn, just because it was the choice of one. And so Barbara said it was that the family was real happy with it. And so I did that. And of course, that first page, real happy with the way that came out.
That's awesome. I mean, it's really awesome, in my opinion, that we've got General Flynn essentially giving, approval to this stuff. I mean, General Flynn, not only following these accounts on Twitter, but actually, allowing his words to be used in the book itself, because, he doesn't have to do that. I mean, that's it's a worthy cause, and for General Flynn to essentially put his stamp of approval on it, it shows that General Flynn is aware of what's going on. I mean, he knows he's watching all this stuff along with us, and anybody who thinks that he isn't is absolutely insane.
Well, we absolutely put that to bed, Red, when and right in between. I mean, this is the genesis between when I had sent Barbara out all the information to sign off for the second book. As far as the dedication page, was a little bit more co-opting his speech in the first book. It was a little bit more signing off. And that's when I magically got that note. Remember, I shared that note directly from General Flynn.
That's right.
That was the genesis of that note, was actually signing off. In fact, I was so surprised because I said, boy, Barbara folded everything up into one of those little, you could tell it was one of them small little envelopes. It wasn't like a bill.
Right.
And I said, I was expecting this couple things signed, and I said, boy, and it was Flynn, and I didn't have my glasses on, and wait till I got home. I sincerely about had a heart attack. I'm no spring chicken. I mean, when I opened it and saw that was from the general himself and not from his sister, I mean, seriously, I mean, both of us took that first book to heart, a little bit of the negativity in that,
sure.
And that made it all worthwhile. That erased all that jazz from that.
Absolutely. Well, tell the story. I mean, so you actually, in the correspondence with him and his family, he actually sent you.
It was really just his sister. I never thought I would actually hear from him. I was actually signed up to go to that Atlanta thing just to have a chance to meet him. I never thought I'd have a correspondence. Really, it was out of the blue. It was that was the initial. It was a 1-2 punch read, because you saw it. I mean, not only was it the most kind thank you note, and we've been under such duress for 2 years. Anytime somebody shakes your hand, it's like having an appointment with the POTUS. And then he signed it, where we go on, we go all. I mean, exactly. If there was any doubt in anybody's mind, you did the recap, you did the video, and I told Cyril Brain, I said, you saw that Red did it better than anybody could say it, because that's exactly, if there's any question in anybody's mind, that was put to bed in that note for sure.
That's right. So, and just for anybody watching who didn't happen to see that program, Roy got a personal note from General Flynn. It was a card, but I mean, like, it was, full. It was full. Okay. He wrote him a personal note thanking him for what he had done, in terms of putting together these books, and he signed it where we go one, we go all. Okay, if that is not confirmation that General Flynn is absolutely part of this operation, I don't know what is. So yeah, I can totally understand. I'm not saying I'm a spring chicken, but I probably would have had a heart attack myself if I would have opened up that note and see that General Flynn wrote me a personal letter. It's absolutely incredible, Roy. I hope you got that framed.
Well, it was it was for the whole team, because I told Monica, and I sent that note around to us first before I posted it. I said and I told Cyril Brain, it was for the whole first book team, because that's really what it was about. Because he knew the second book was coming up, but at the time we didn't know. It wasn't even in print. It was still being talked about at the time. But the first one was out, and he was thanking us for you and Space Shot and everybody for their contributions, Red.
Well, so Roy, I showed the book on screen. I have the link in the description where people can go to get it. But give us a taste. Tell us, what is this book? It's called White Hats, Swamp Creatures, and QAnon.
Well, to make it a real quick synopsis for everybody in the community here, I would call it a digger's handbook, and for the public, I would call it a Spygate encyclopedia.
Okay.
Because what we have in there, we have I've broken it down to about 150, 160 articles about the main players, the good, the bad, the white hats and the black hats. I call them the white hats and the swamp creatures. But it has everybody from John Brennan and Hillary Clinton all the way down to Dan Scavino, Stephen Miller, some of the good guys. Obviously, we know of Admiral Rogers and General Flynn, but it has and everybody in between. The Lisa Pages. What I was telling John B. Wells the other day, I said it becomes pertinent because right now we're talking about the Ukraine. And we're finding out this name's coming up a lot. Victoria Nuland.
Yes, I remember.
Is coming up all over the things, not only with regime change, but with all these financial deals. That apparently was the piggy bank for a lot of these operations. Now, we finally found from whence the money flowed. We know it came from Soros, but this was the actual banking operations where they washed it all. But anyway, I have Victoria Nuland in this book, along with her sidekick, Jonathan Weiner, along with Sidney Blumenthal and Cody Shear, because these people were all involved with Chris Steele in developing part of the dossier. I called it the second Hillary Clinton second dossier, because all through state, and this is going to be coming up in Horowitz's report, which we're all expecting next week.
Yep.
After almost a year and a half of waiting for Michael Horowitz's, the IG's upcoming getting back to the beginning, the genesis of the FISA and the spying on our president. They were involved neck deep in creating the dossier. I mean, so it wasn't like they weren't involved. I mean, they actually have parts of it. 3 of the 23 memos were actually directed from these people. They created it out of thin air and added it to the final dossier. So I had the whole thing nailed down, and I had there that, of course, Nuland was involved with the Ukraine, but I didn't at the time in the book have any of this Biden information because it's just breaking now. But we have a lot of these people for Spygate stuff, and we're finding out, Red, that they're guilty of many other crimes too.
Absolutely.
They're not single lane criminals, as we say. Yeah, besides all this shenanigans and stealing money and selling our country out, we're finding these same people go home, they kick the dog, they yell at their kids and beat up their wives. I mean, these are criminals across the board with, as Sean said, they're heartless, soulless, and they're going to be held account. One thing that a lot of people forget is that America was founded because we didn't believe in this two-tier justice systems where the royals and the upper echelon get a pass. You know, this is what we're kind of getting back to, is that there's a single justice. And a lot of these people have put themselves as royalty that they could get away with stuff, and they were held unaccountable. And so we're actually getting back to the roots of our country. Why we left England, because nothing's between you and me, nothing's going to come of this Epstein with the royals. That's going to wash out like it all has, but we're going to be held, our side's going to be held accountable. That's the difference.
You know, I hear you when you say that, but I have to, continue to have some level of hope that something is going to bear out with this, because, with Epstein dying, it's pretty obvious that the feds are still interested in continuing going after anybody that's involved. I mean, I'm sure that you heard that Jean-Luc Brunel, who had previously been missing, he disappeared off the face of the earth. I believe he's now in Paris. He's in the clutches of authorities, and he is participating in whatever the investigation is now that Jeffrey's dead. So. Right. The fact that
and we have to find Maxwell too, and I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the Royals will probably get a pass.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That in the long run, we're going to hold. That's going to be the difference. We're going to hold everybody accountable, from Epstein to Spygate and everything in between.
Absolutely. So how many chapters are in the book? You said 17?
Well, there's actually, we didn't have chapters because we actually have individual, their posts, their drops, because each one is actually like a little, it's like what I have in the first book, because I had Stefan Halper, I had Admiral Rogers, General Flynn. They're in Serial Brain, and I do write a lot alike. They're basically a little synopsis of the character. I put in about 10 mainstream links. Now I'm saying mainstream as far as, a conservative treehouse, gateway pundit, the stuff we use.
Right.
And then also I intersperse the pertinent Q drops, maybe not the whole drop, but a line or two out of each Q drop. And it's intermixed within the stories. And there's about 150 of those, and it's all the main people. Oh, here's another quick little thing, is that I have Sidney Powell in there. And it's so ironic, as a publisher, I checked with her. I said, is there any way I could add anything to a chapter? Because the whole thing with Sydney, it doesn't have a mention of General Flynn. It was turned in before she, but I'm proud of myself because she made the list, because I had everything that she went in as far as Enron and went after Weissman. And I had her as like one of the good white hats for everything she did. I had a little group of Cheryl Atkinson, Diana West and herself, some of these female journalists that have been frontline troops, just like we feel like, every one of us are too. And so it's kind of ironic, but Sydney did make the book, but there's no really mention of General Powell. We all know that came later.
Well, there's always another book that can come out later. That's great. So how long have you been working on this? You said this was way back when we were doing the original book. You were.
Well, mostly what I had is most of these stories, and it was the same with Serial Brain, because he had to whittle down 150 down to only 15 posts for the first book.
Right. So
the same thing applies. There's still some stuff, and Monica knows there's some stuff on the table as far as that goes too, for future books. But so it was. What I did in the whole winter season is, once she okayed and we were going to work on this project, came up with the name and some parameters, is that I upgraded all the posts that I had, because they're so busy with the book that we did, that stuff just like adding General Flynn into the Sidney Powell article. So I went back and upgraded everything as far as I could to that day with new Q posts, new links. And so what the older stories were all freshened up, and that's what made the print. So
very cool.
As best as I could. Now that was turned in May. So anything since May, it's like
lots of news since May, Roy. Absolutely.
But still, it's so good, because I was so with the Newland and all these guys, and they were even talking about Michael Gattata. All these characters are going to come out, and it's so good, because everybody in our community, as soon as this stuff hits with Horowitz, all they can do is just flip through this book, and it'll be a jump start on their digging and their research, because I'll get them started. You'll have a little quick idea of James Rebecki, or of Heather Samuelson, or of these names just will keep coming up on and on and on. John Carlin, all the Sally Yates. And then there'll be the pertinent Q posts. A lot of times people say, oh, they start talking about Victoria Newland. They said, what were the Q posts? I've got probably about half dozen Q posts that I've already dug on, that these are the ones that are talking about Victoria Newland and everything she's involved with, as well as the current mainstream articles that will help their research. It's just the start. And then for the public, they don't know who these people are. They don't know Sidney Blumenthal. They don't know these names. They might have heard Lisa Page, sure, and Peter Strozik, but the sub players, they don't. So this is going to be a good red pill for the public, because they're going to say, boy, how did all these Q people know all these things about these people? It's going to add credibility to all of us. We know it's all true.
Absolutely.
But for the public, it's going to be part of the Great Awakening.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, this was published once again through Relentlessly Creative. And, I think we should talk about this. I haven't talked about it on the show yet. Something happened several months ago and we knew about it, but due to the sensitive nature, we didn't want to talk about it. And then we've had this tragic loss. So why don't you tell us what happened so that people can understand what we're up against.
Well, briefly, our publisher and Red and everybody's worked with her on the first book individually. We've worked with her and know her to be a solid lady, and certainly a champ that took on this book where nobody else would. And I was working with her every day because we were trying to get this out. Original target date was July 4th. So this was the beginning of June, the end of May, beginning of June. I got a call from her husband, Philippe, saying they rushed Monica to the hospital. She's sick and they don't know what it is. And then I'd get no more communications. And I'm panicking. And they live in Mexico City. And even on a good day, it's hard to get the lines through and everything.
Right.
And so a week later, I get a call from her. She says, I'm being discharged, but Philippe's in the hospital and he's worse than I am. And this went on and on. He was back home. She temporarily went in one other time, but he was really in and out all summer. And we were wrapping up the book. I would just touch on how's Philippe. He's back in, back out. We never really went on it much.
You should say that they were poisoned.
Well, they were poisoned. We haven't got to the exact toxin type yet. That's been the real problem, is that initially when they went in, Red, there wasn't much seriousness because people get sick eating in Mexico every day of the week.
Right.
And when two people come in virtually simultaneously, they didn't do like huge toxology if there was a death or something. They didn't run extensive labs to begin with. So we're trying to go back after the fact to find these labs, and it's a real struggle. But to make a long story short, they were both poisoned. We don't know what it was. Monica, thank God, survived, and her husband, on and off, he just recently went into coma. He died just when we were publishing this book, and she had cremation. She's actually tomorrow, Sunday, having a service. She described it, and I've never been. I've been to an Irish wake, but it's in Mexico, and they have about 150 people come to their house for a dinner, she called it.
Yeah.
And I guess there's prayer service and that. So that's actually tomorrow. This just has all happened. The book was just published. It was actually held up for a week by Amazon, which is another whole story altogether. And then I told you about the YouTube banning me last night.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, so you're watching the program, you're in the live stream chatting it up, and suddenly YouTube just pulls the plug out from under you.
It just goes dark. And then also at the same time, I have a Gmail account that I just made up for the book so that people could, I put that in my bio in the book so people could, ask questions or whatever. And I put my email, a lot of people, so that they could contact me and not bother other people. And that was cut off too. So I had to go through a big thing just to reinstate my email with Google, but they could totally ban me. And I've never posted one video on YouTube in my entire life. All I've ever done is comment it. And I've never even left a thumbs down. I've only left thumbs up and commented. And there's no reason, no rationale. I sent you a copy of it. I'm not familiar with this stuff because I don't deal with YouTube.
Yeah, it said that due to multiple community guideline strikes. So that means that you would have been producing videos and they would have been given community guideline strike. You can't get a strike if you're not producing content. And even if you're producing, offensive comments on people's videos, I've never heard of anybody getting a community guideline strike for a comment. Usually they're just hidden or they get deleted. So the fact that they deleted your account and deleted your Gmail account is quite obviously, to me, as a result of the fact that you're producing this book. It's no coincidence that Monica and Philippe get poisoned And then at the same time, right here, when you produce this book, they're deleting you so that you'll be unpersoned there on the platform. I think they're trying to make sure that you don't produce any videos.
Well, and again, the genesis of this book, as you know, and maybe your audience doesn't know the actual genesis, really came out of some of the bakers, Cyril Brain and myself, when we got banned at Reddit. That was the nature of this book. And then we figured we got half bakers and we got half buddies like you and Space Shot and YouTubers to do the other half of the book with us. And that was the genesis, was their banning and trying to silence us at Reddit. And I see a year later, I see no change. I mean, it's actually sad. And you know, I hear all the stuff you said and everything Sean said about his numbers. I know his numbers. I watch his shows and yours, and it's just a shame. And I remember Space Shot doing the algorithms or the numbers. He actually did a whole show and showed us. It's tragic, and we hope this gets turned around. I mean, we're struggling. We're doing this all at a disadvantage, as you know. We're against paid professionals. Everybody we battle is a paid professional, either the media or a clown. You know, these are the people, and we're just regular people with very limited resources, as you know and I know. And we're battling the best of the best and trying to hold our own, and they're cheating.
Right. No, exactly. They're not playing fair. Now, Captain Roy, I wanted to bring this up because somebody asked earlier. They asked if you were on a sailboat. And I thought that was pretty sweet because they know what the inside of a boat looks like. You live on a beautiful houseboat down in Florida. You know, living the dream there. Do you live in the Florida Keys, or you live just somewhere in undisclosed location along there?
No, I'm actually in Tampa. I'm not. It's not a hidden thing. It's okay. St. Petersburg is the area, but the Tampa Bay Clearwater Beach area, and it's a big power boat, and it's actually my house now. So it's plenty spacious, and it's you know, it's comfortable. This is the best time of year. You just sit outside with your robe in the mornings and nights, have your coffee, and it's a nice breeze. It's
awesome. I would absolutely love it. You know, I haven't been on that many boats. You know, I mean, I've been on the Great Lakes. You know, and Lake Superior is I guess it's considered a freshwater ocean because it's so large and the waves get huge and there's lots of shipwrecks in Lake Superior.
It has waves. There's no question. That's absolutely correct. And it has some currents in there too. I've talked to people who've been up navigating that. I'm familiar with Lake Erie myself, but sometimes the intercoastal waterways are trickier than the open ocean. Yeah. Because the currents and the jetties and the way that just the stuff whips around in those rivers and the lakes, it's just not a steady pattern like you'd have in the ocean.
So what do you do when it's hurricane season? I mean, do you just...
I've not moved. In fact, the 1-2 years ago, Irma, they went around. I was the last holdout. I said, I'm not leaving it because I have my captain's license. That they can't force me to go. In fact, I said, I'll just keep an eye on things. But they made me sign this waiver. I mean, when the last person left, they said, this is like the crazy guy waiver. I just stayed put because most of the trouble is always from the tidal surge and the water rising up. And I figure I'm in a cork. The last thing I will do is ever drown inside the boat. You know, I mean, it's as long as you can weather the storms, and it's, you know, and I've been hit with a couple of big ones. I'm still actually repairing, you know, thank God we had that book because I've been actually repairing this from the hurricane 2 years ago because some of the exterior stuff got damaged as far as, you know, torn apart and stuff.
Sure. Well, you know, obviously I hope you're safe out there. I think that is probably one of the coolest things I've ever heard because I've always kind of romanticized the idea of living on a houseboat. You know, I mean, like ever since I was a little kid, I saw it in a movie or something like that, and I was like, "You can live on the ocean, like that is so amazing."
Well, and it's actually safe too, Red, because not only is there security here, but it's I'm way out, and it takes a lot for anybody to come get to me too. So I have a sense of security out here with what we've been doing the last 2 years. It's very helpful, and I'm instantly in the middle of the Gulf if there's any need to pull out of the dock. So it's handy that way for what we're doing.
That's awesome. Well, so what's next up on the docket, Roy? I mean, are you going to be doing more interviews on other shows? You got a whirlwind book tour scheduled?
Well, I'm on Patriot Soapbox tomorrow, and then with our good friend Linda Pears on Monday. And then anybody else, I mean, I have a few other things. I was just on John B. Wells, but I'm going to do shows. Anybody that'd like to have me on, next 2 weeks, I'm open for interviews and shows. That's our promotional week. And then I promised Cyril Brain and some of the bakers, I've had so much time off that I'm going to start with new posts. I mean, I got Chalupa. I've got a list of people that I've got to come out with some new stories. So I'm going to start on that. But as far as in the future, Monica's committed to one book in 2020 and one book in 2021. We don't know what, but she's holding one slot open for us. And then I think I mentioned to you in Space Shot is that maybe not next year, but the following year, because I came from the travel industry and I have a lot of friends. So we're maybe talking about an author's cruise, a 1 week Carnival cruise with all the authors, and people can come along, and also a weekend in Vegas at a strip hotel like a Q convention, a Vegas convention.
Cool.
We'll be out there for book signings and meet everybody. So that's kind of on the plans for the future down the road.
Awesome. So, I mean, I imagine, are you scheduling the release of part 2 of Swamp Creatures, the Swamp Creatures Volume 2? Are you gonna? No.
I'm done. There's other people that need to get stuff out, and in fact, Monica's. That's what I'm saying. Monica's committing to doing Q books. It's to be advised to who they're going to be. But there's some people with a lot of material out there that would like to do it, but she's committed to being a Q publisher. And there's really, I showed you that list of all these thousands of literary agents that didn't want to touch our book. So I'm actually going to be a Q literary agent. I'm going to help some of our friends get their books published. So
that's
just
awesome.
As a side job.
That's so awesome. So awesome. So, well, where can people find you, Roy, besides Reddit? I mean, is it just Reddit and then your book on Amazon? I mean, you want to give people your email address or anything like that?
No, because really we're all banned at Reddit. The only place is Zero Brain ourselves. We post there just for our own followers. Nothing even is in public. So we've just had all of our followers. So we just kept posting there because whoever wanted to stay in there, not everybody left. I mean, we each have lots of people. So it's posted, but only our followers get to see it. So anybody can sign up and just follow myself and Zero Brain at Reddit, and you'll get all of our new posts, which is good to get. But best just to promote if somebody wants to stay in touch, they get the books. I have my email in the bios on both of the books, and they can just email at any time. I don't get swamped like you, but I'm happy. I'll respond to all the reader email questions. And I've had some people organize, because I live close to Linda Paris and Dustin, so occasionally people will send me a book and for me to sign, and then I'll hold it and get those guys to sign it as well. So we're just doing little things like that.
Awesome. Where is the next actual physical spot that you're going to be showing up at?
Well, there's going to be a Q rally, very similar to the one we had at 9/11 at the Washington Monument in D.C.
Yes.
The same gal that put that on, she's going to have one a month. Their first one's going to be in Tampa because she's in South Florida, but the first one's in January in Tampa. It's supposed to be a big event, and then she's going to do one in each state or each area of the country until the election. So about 12 big events after that, right up to election time.
Where can people go to find information about that on the net? Is there a website, or is there like a?
It's Red Pill Roadshow. You like the name? I think it's Red Pill Roadshow. I'll have to get 100% back to you on that, and we could post it. But I believe that's the information. She just has the one event scheduled. She's going to get more planned as she gets different venues set. But I know the one's going to be.
I got it.
Is that it?
I got it. Yeah.
Oh.
It's Tampa, Florida, Saturday, January 11th, 2020. Time to be announced. It is redpillroadshow.com, guys. And I'm going to throw that link in the chat box. And then I will also put it in the description of the video. So if people don't...
and those are always free. There's no charge. There's a thing where you can just go ahead and get the tickets, just so she can have an RSVP head count. But the one went real slick in Washington, D.C., even though it was 120 degrees, people were melting. But the one in Tampa should be real nice. It's a nice big park. I know that area in downtown Tampa.
Tell us what happened in D.C. Who was there? It was you, Dylan.
It was Dylan, and we had Craig from Just Informed Talk. He was a real nice fellow. Jordan Sather.
Okay. We
had those guys. I call them Ben and Jerry, but they're the guys that work. I don't know. They work with Jordan. They have some kind of big show. They were involved with Epoch Times deal.
Oh man.
You know who I mean, Ben and something.
Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about. I can't remember. I can't remember the name right now.
I have such memory problems. I said I'm just going to call you guys Ben and Jerry, and they just laughed. They said, "Go ahead." But
I can't believe I'm blanking on it. I mean, like I see them in my mind.
I know it. I was just with them. But Dustin was a speaker. And
Edge of Wonder. Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Diane.
Edge of Wonder. Yes.
Edge of Wonder.
Yeah, they're really nice fellas. But they spoke, and we had a lot of nice people there. The photographer, Gene Ho.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it was a nice crowd. Dustin Nemos. It was a nice crowd. It was, and Lisa and her husband, John Welsh, they do the weird Q T-shirts. It was, well represented. And I spent most of the time talking to Will Summers and Jared Holt, the reporter guys, because everybody's giving him a hard time. I figured at least I'll try to be nice to him and just not try to go down your necks. But so anyway, that was a nice, it turned out good. At least they didn't go away angry, I don't think.
So how was it meeting Will Summer?
I've been in communications with Will on and off for a year, so we were just kind of looking forward, like you and me. We've talked so much, we were actually looking forward to meeting each other, and it was, so we were kind of looking forward to it because, we just, not that we had this adversarial role, but we've just been in emails and correspondence for a long time, and he seemed all right. I mean, I got no problem with these people. The thing is that the ones that are taking the money, the ones up on the top, the ones with their kids with offshore accounts, the whole bit, they've got to all pay up. I mean, there's going to be no passes. So, if some of these people, if they're just brainwashed or that's the duty they pulled and they just, they're reading scripts, maybe re-education camp, I don't know.
Like the Symbionese Liberation Army re-education camps?
We'll figure something out for all these shills and Mockingbird media people. We'll keep busy.
It's difficult to, you look at these people and you wonder, are they genuinely evil or are they just brainwashed and they don't understand? I mean, because, I tend to lean towards that when I'm looking at people. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to just immediately go to the fact that they're evil and irredeemable, because I hope that anybody can, come to the light of day and see exactly what's going on and what's been happening this entire time. But I think that when you look at it objectively, it's difficult to not see what's going on. I mean, once you open your eyes and you look and you know how bad these people are, I mean, you can't continue to behave that way. You can't look at it and see anything else.
What was I think we were told something like 95% would come around and 5% just cannot be helped. So, I mean, so if we've got like maybe 60 and we've only got another 30% and we've got to win over, open their eyes, I think that's doable. And I was telling John B. Wells, I don't think there's going to be any civil war. I said, you forget, we took out MS-13. We took out their muscle. These Antifa guys, are they going to go up against the Deltas and the SEALs? I mean, really, give me a break. It's one thing to go bike locking old people like me, but they train 20-year-old people. They're just not going to happen. So, that's what I believe. It's going to be quick.
I tend to think so too, but I mean, I don't think that we should discount the idea that they're actively training people. I mean, they may be wimps, they may not be able to handle their weapons, but I think that there are plenty of them that are going to cause some trouble, and somebody mentioned, somebody said something earlier, what are we going to do about it? The only thing we can do is to act within the boundaries of the law. We cannot take to the streets, okay? Especially because these people want to draw us out. They want us to be out there and, basically easy pickings, I think. If they pull us out...
If they get us to keep reporting on it, like, I think just like you're doing and everything else, if we just stay right with what we're doing and keep it informed the public and doing our roles, we're not the frontline people. We pray for the frontline Q people, the team and the all their auxiliary helpers. I mean, we're as much as we're talking about poisoning and computers being blown up and being threatened. I mean, we have it far easier than the frontline people, and we know that. So we soldier on, and I don't think that's going to be an issue for all of the Q community. I think everybody's going to do the right thing and get the news out and red pill everybody.
Yeah, knowledge is power. I mean, never discount how important what we're doing right now is, just having a dialogue, sharing the information, because at one point all of us were asleep. Everybody had a moment where they woke up, and just imagine what it was, the person, whoever it was that told you, or whatever it was that you learned that was true, that you had, previously, believed a lie about. And, I mean, that's what we have to do. We just have to keep spreading the word. We have to keep the message going, and we can't let it die. Roy, you want to show us the book cover? I see you got the poster board back there behind you.
Yeah. I don't have the real one because my post office was closed on Saturday. It's up there, but I have to wait till Monday to get it. But this is the one I use. This actually in the DC. We had that at the podium. You know how POTUS puts all the presidential seal. So I had this made up to use as our podium in DC.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
But yes, and then the back side is our book too. So it's a reversible.
Very cool. Very,
Get my
very
money's
cool.
worth. That's what we have to do on a budget. We have to spread our lean dollars, Red.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Roy, I am looking forward to getting my copy of the book, and I know that several people in the audience already said that they ordered it. It's going to be there on Tuesday, I saw somebody say. So after the show, I'm going to order mine. I'm looking forward to it. I'll send it to you. You can sign it for me if you would.
Well, one last reminder, just thanking everybody that would get it, but just one reminder, because we did this on the Great Awakening. If people that if you are going to get a book, now's the time to do it, because we get a little window there. The first 30 days is our launch window, and the algorithms are all for new books. And anybody, if we get a quick sale and a good review, it really helps propel us up so that the public gets to see it, just not our crowd. So just try to remember, anybody that gets a book, you're automatically entitled to put in a free review. It doesn't cost you any money, and it would be very well appreciated. It helps break their algorithms and helps us get through, just like all the shadow banning. They hope we don't do that.
Absolutely. You know, and I think that it's very, very important for anybody who does order the book. Please give a review, because we know what happened last time. They deleted hundreds of reviews. Didn't matter.
300.
Yeah. So please.
We got off to such a good start, 300 quick ones, and I said, hey, we're back to zero. What happened? There's some kind of technical clause.
Tennessee Homesteader's here. Hey, what's up, bud? And he said that he left the first review on Amazon. I can see it. There is one, and it's a 5-star.
Yeah, TN gets the first 5-star. He's a hero in my book always.
Yes,
thank you, TN.
Great
Awesome.
researcher, great patriot. All right. Absolutely. Well, Roy, thank you very much. My next guest is not here yet. I think I'm going to need to call him. He may have missed the notification, but thank you for being here, and we'll have you back again very soon.
Tell Jason I said hi. My pleasure.
I will. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Yes, sir.
All right. And there we go. Okay. 1 second. I do apologize. My guest is... I'm calling my guest right now.
Hello.
Hey, it's 10:34. Can you jump in?
Yeah, I'm signing in. I'm clicking on that link. I must open Zoom meeting.
Yeah, just
have been behind a couple minutes.
Yeah, no problem. Just click that link. I'm waiting for you. We're live on the air. Okay, see ya. Bye-bye. All right, you guys, coming up next. Hey, there he is. Speak of the devil, and he appears. Welcome. Jason Woke Up in Vegas is here. Everybody, please welcome Jason. How you doing, brother?
Good. How you doing, Red Pill?
I am excellent. So you've been on the program before, but you've never shown your face. Pretty cool. I'm really glad that you decided to make that jump, because you are actually producing your own videos now. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, we're just getting out in the public, and, you know, we're putting our face out there, boots to the ground, you know, trying to find a way, not trying, you know, making a hell of an effort, getting out there in our communities, and just loving on each other, man, and getting out there. And, you know, so we're going to put some videos out there. Some people have been asking for it. So
awesome.
Here I am, beard and all.
And I just want to tell everyone here that what we're trying to do, because Jason's got an awesome story, something that he did very recently. And what we're trying to do is get his subscriber count up to 1,000 so that he can start live streaming too. So I'm going to drop his link to his channel in the chat. So anybody who feels so moved, please do, if you would, subscribe to Jason so that he can start producing some live streams too. But so tell us what happened, man. I hear that they had Drag Queen Story Hour in your town recently, and of course you showed up.
Of course I did. Well, so we heard it first, you know, because we get all the information. So I forget who it was. I think it was Allie from our server. She sent me a message, and she says Drag Queen Story Hour in Las Vegas at the local library. Right? So no. No. So
what are we going
to get a hold of? Yeah. How are we going to go about this one? Right? Yeah. Like, this ain't going to work. So, you know, that's what we've been doing. You know, collectively, we have like-minded people in our community. Yes, I live in Las Vegas. It's a little bit easier. Yeah. Right. A lot easier than a lot of rural towns you guys live in. But you know, I put the We Are Q sticker on the truck, and, you know, so I draw that towards me, right? So we've built this group. So we decided to get together, all of us, a bunch of us anyway, and see the best bet and strategize and figure out how we can be most effective at this drag queen story hour. Right. So we all got together. We had a little dinner at the house, and we decided protest wasn't sitting right with us. Right. There's so much hate. There's so much, we've been dumbed down for so long that we can't even disagree with each other without being freaking racist. Right.
Right.
So what we decided would be more effective, that we were going to set up an information booth at this drag queen story hour. Right. And we were going to present information to the public of the things that were alarming to us, such as some of the drag queens in a couple other states had been arrested at libraries reading to kids, being convicted pedophiles.
Right.
Okay. We printed up some information on Desmond. We printed up some information on how schools were not asking parents, and they were having these drag queens come in to read story hour during school. Right. Dressed up in satanic stuff.
Even before you continue, the things that they will make people get a background check for, but they don't think to check the backgrounds of people that are going to be coming into your child's elementary school and asking them to sit on their lap. Like, no.
Dressed in drag.
God, absolutely.
The library
makes me crazy.
No vetting process. Yes.
Wow.
No vetting process whatsoever. So we decided we were going to set up an information booth. We printed out some different flyers, petitions for the public to sign, to present to the director of libraries himself. And what we also did was, people are lazy, Red Pill. You got to put it on a silver platter for them. So we took papers and we put all the links, printed them all up, to hand off to people to take home and do research, right? Next time we're going to do the Q codes. We're going to put cards together and people can scan them on their phone right there. So we set up we just set up a information booth. I had, it's a learning process, but we had some signs that were up, and in a loving way, we didn't disagree, right? We were just there to raise some awareness. And so that's how we ended up there. We found out it was going to be all day Pride Day though. Right. So, 2-hour story hour turned into pastry hour, story hour, teenage drag contest. I think we were there 8 hours. It was a long day, but we got a lot of stuff done. There's some videos on the channel. A couple of the storytellers kind of came up to assault me, or they were a little upset. And
what happened with that?
Oh, dude. That video there is called When Drag Queens Try to Attack, I believe. That's on the channel. So, they come out and we're just presenting information, man. And that's it. And I'm not saying they're pedophiles, right, guys? But here's the thing. We know me personally, my research has led me to believe that they're normalizing pedophilia. We look at MAP, which is minor attracted persons, and they're trying to add the P for pedosexual on the back of the LGBT community because they're established.
Right.
We look at Desmond, the dude who's dancing at bars for money at 8, 9 years old and all that stuff. So they come up to me, and at first, you know how they are. They're real, not them meaning LGBT. I mean like Antifa, anybody that doesn't want to hear facts. They're all emotions. They're yelling. They're trying to be overbearing. They're in your face. And that's what they did. And I shut it down. I said, no, man, this is my space. If you want to know why we're here, ask the questions. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't come over here arguing and leave. I'm not here for that. I am not here to, you're a grown adult, right? Like if your heart's in the right place, we've all been tricked. I might have had more vaccines, more GMOs. Someone might have been indoctrinated a little bit more, right? We all know what it is. So with me, where's your heart, Red Pill? If you're coming from 11th place, I'm gonna walk with you. Where are you at right now? Where are you at today? I don't give a shit about what you did yesterday. Where are you at here? Come on, I'm gonna walk with you.
Right.
We're gonna do this together. So I wasn't there we weren't there to judge, right? Because we don't know. I have friends that are gay. I have really good friends that are transsexual, and and I allow them to be in that place and not judge them and just support them for them, right? Like whatever. I don't know how much is in the Bible or whatever, if it's good or bad. I don't know. But, I know it's not okay for the kids. And I know what they're trying to do with the normalization of pedophilia.
Absolutely.
So they came up, I shut it down. And by the end of the conversation, you can see we agreed on a few things, right? We found, and that's what it's about, finding that, for me anyway, I'm noticing it's most effective when we find that common ground. We got to agree on something or we're never going to hear each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Did you happen to have a conversation with anybody there that was there to perform, about your concern, your specific concern of protecting the children? Did anyone agree with you on that point?
Oh yeah. It's 2 weeks in a row now, right? It's like it's a clown. It's a circus show going around. I'm following them around town. I'm gonna go to California. I'm gonna go to Arizona. Like, I'm following the drag queens, bro.
So,
yeah. I mean, it's so bad. One dude says, and I got him on camera from last weekend. He's coming out of the library, and last weekend was a little different, guys. And we'll get into that, and I'll tell you why. It's a learning thing here, and what worked and what didn't work. But as people are coming out of the Drag Queen Story Hour, I'm asking them, hey, if you're not okay with the normalization of pedophilia, paying for it in your library, please sign the petition. One guy's holding his daughter's hand, about 2-3 years old, whose wife's on the other side holding her hand. And he says, no, I'm okay with it. And I said, excuse me? You're okay with the normalization of pedophilia in your library? And he says, yes. And I said, wow, it's all on camera. Like, really, dude? Come on, man.
I am blown
Some of
away.
them are so brainwashed.
Say that again?
Some of them are so brainwashed, man.
And here's the thing. Did he know? Did he know what the word meant, or did he know what the word meant and he actually was okay with it? This is so disturbing to think that anyone would be okay with the idea of normalizing this, putting this into your library. Knowledge is power. I just got done saying that. To put that on a child, okay, and give them the idea that this is perfectly acceptable. This is the design of this stuff. You are dead on. They are putting it into the minds of children so that by the time they are acted upon by a predator, they're going to be okay with it, or they're at least not going to understand how horrible it is, the damaging nature of it.
And here's the thing. Yes. I'm noticing a lot with the parents. We've gotten to a place where everybody has to accept everybody, and it's so wrong to step outside and say, hey, this isn't okay. Like, I'm not okay with it.
Yeah.
And they just want to support their kids. They're scared because the indoctrination system has their kids so confused because they're reading drag queen, they're dressing up, they're making it fun for them at that age. I mean, I've got links, there's stories I dropped in your messages. They're promoting it to infants. Like, come on, guys. So what happens is the parents just want to accept them. They don't want the kids to go off doing drugs. They're scared they're going to go off killing themselves. They're trying to find that way to just love them and accept them. So we just got to get out there, guys, and give them the information. Yeah. Like, we got to manipulate them enough because the media, we're the news now. We're the media. It works, man.
Yeah.
So the second week, what happened was, I show up.
Wait a second. And let's be clear here.
Go ahead.
This is an ongoing thing at the public library. It's not like a one-off, because when we talked about it at first, I thought it's a one-off. There's no way. But they're doing this every weekend.
Yes, sir. They might skip a few weekends here and there. Palm Springs is really popular. They're doing a bunch. There's some in Arizona. We got to do our research, guys. They're trying to hide it. We got to find them and get out there. Oh, man.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Continue, Jason.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot, man. It really is, Red Pill. So the second week, I find out it's going on Friday night, right? And I'm like, I got the signs made already. I got information printed up. I go, here we go. It's only a couple hours this time. So as I pull up, you've got Bikers Against Radical Islam, right? You've got mass resistance. You've got a Bible preaching dude with his bullhorn. And it's just so much hate. It's all these people on this side yelling at all the people on the library, telling them how much of a piece of crap they are and how they're all going to hell and how disgusting they are. And the energy itself, I was still effective. And a beautiful thing about it was not a lot, but about 4 or 5 of the families, some of them are on video, came up to me. They were there the last week also, and this week, and they just made a point to come out of their way and say, hey, we might not agree with what you're doing, but we really respect the way you're doing it. Thank you.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
Because there was so much of difference, right? And that's what the approach is where the effectiveness is, man. Like, what do I want to accomplish? What's my goal? I'm tired of hate, man. I'm tired of spreading all that shit, man. No. Like, there's so much of that out there. And what I'm realizing is when I get out there, Red Pill, we're the majority. A lot more people just want to love on each other.
Yeah.
A lot more people like that want that camaraderie. They want to talk to their neighbors. They want to spend time with them. They want to learn all that stuff, man. So, that's, and it takes getting out. It takes being uncomfortable. It takes being vulnerable. It takes people getting out saying, hey, I'm willing to do that. I'm going to stand here and we don't have to stand alone, man. Our brothers and sisters come with us and we walk and we're getting there. We got 100 petitions signed already.
That's awesome. I love it that you're doing it this way, because what you're trying to restore is exactly what's missing from society in America today. It's, we've become this outrage culture. If you disagree with someone, on the left and the right, we're all guilty of it, but people will just freak out because it's gone from having opinions or, to, having these beliefs, this belief system that people cannot break themselves out of. And, I have always said, if you've got a compelling argument, change my mind. There's nothing wrong with that. I miss talking with people. I miss having the ability to debate someone in a healthy way. And that's incredible that you've already had such an effect. So what are you going to do with these, with the petitions? I mean, it's more than just, getting some good videos out, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's way more than that. And the videos are only because we can't do this by ourselves. Collectively, I've seen over this last year what we've accomplished together, guys. Yeah. And we're killing it. We're killing it, man. We've taken over the news. We beat up the Garlic Festival. We ramped out a queue. I mean, we've done so much stuff collectively when we work together. So that's what the videos are for, is so we can do it together, so we can learn together, so we can share feedback and say, hey, this works, this doesn't work, right? Like I saw the first night we went, I had a couple signs the first time that said, they were cool, don't get me wrong, LGBTQ, leave those kids alone, like Pink Floyd, and it had the wall.
It was smart.
Yeah. But unnecessary, right? Like it could have been more effective without that, right? Because it's not just
slogans are catchy. Slogans are catchy, and I'll tell you, if you can drive a point home along with something from popular culture like that, then you are statistically more likely to have someone remember it. It wasn't like you were out there, like calling for, violence or anything like that. I mean, somebody says, that's I get it. So I think you did good. I think you did real good. All right. So listen, people were also asking about your Twitter. I mean, I don't know if you have a public Twitter account. Do you have a public Twitter account?
I have the public Twitter account, but I'm not active on it. It takes me so much to just keep up on the Facebook and then dig in with the Discord and the channel. But on my Facebook, it's Jason Frank, and then I got the Q tattoo.
Oh, nice.
My profile picture.
Very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Where we go all see that. Yes, sir.
All right, so
that's the Facebook.
Jason Frank in Las Vegas, Nevada, I'm assuming.
Yes, sir. Yep.
All right. So you guys can add Jason.
I post a lot of stuff. Also, I want to talk about we're doing at the end of the month, right? So if you go down my page, I'm shadow banned, like a lot of us are. You got to actually go to the page and look for stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't get you the link. I'll get it over. We're doing at the end of the month, the 27th. We have a veterans place here where it's a transitional housing where they house 250 veterans.
Okay.
And we're taking a barbecue trailer. I got a big old 22-foot smoker. We're going to go feed them all lunch and dinner, all 250 of them. And any other vets or homeless people that come by, we're going to feed them.
That's awesome.
So we've got about 20 people that are willing to be of service and help serve. We've got families, some of my Q family that we've been working with on Facebook together. Kristen, she's coming down. Her family's driving down. So we're doing it for that weekend to encourage her. That's what we do with the QAnon. We get out there, love on the people. But
did you have that vest made?
Yes, we did.
Dude,
yep, we're the mother chapter out here, man.
That's wicked, dude.
Yeah. It's got some different meanings in it. One of them is thank you for your kindness in gematria or whatever you coders, how you call it, and break down the numbers. And also, so what we do is I put together, if anybody wants to help, we've already got some donations coming in because we want to feed everybody, right? I'm going to put some money towards it. And when we run out of food, then we run out of food. But, the more money we get, I've got enough. I got a big old smoker, so we're going to fill it up, man. If you guys want to donate whatever, or even, you know, if you guys are in the area, kind of close enough to Vegas, we'd love to have you guys down. Just come love on our vets, right? We don't want to just go drop off. We want to let them know we appreciate them and tell them how much we appreciate them and show them, right? And just be there for them, especially getting close to the holidays, man. Just give them someone to talk to and make ourselves available.
That's so
it's
cool,
going to be
Jason.
a beautiful party. We're looking for a DJ. If anybody wants to volunteer a little DJ time, an hour or two, if anybody has any access to some tents and some shade tents and some tables, it's going to be a big deal, man. So
I've already seen people asking how they can, help out by donating and stuff. I'm assuming getting a hold of you on Facebook is the best way to do that. Do you want to give an email address out as well?
Yeah, email would be great. NA.
Hold on, let me add it into the description of the video. Jason.
It's the one I sent you, so you can copy and paste that. NAIOU1@gmail.
You know, that was in my phone, but NAIOWE OWE
the letter U the number 1
at Gmail.
gmail.com. NAIOU1.
NAIO. Oh, hey, yeah, one day at a time.
You get it now?
I get it now.
Yes,
I was thinking it was like another Native American word or something. Oh, you guys don't. I just put that in incorrectly. Hold on, you guys do not. I'm deleting that message. So.
And if you guys on Facebook, if you guys send me a Facebook request, send a message with it, please. That way I know, and kind of make it personal.
Yes.
And then I'll figure out, I'll get on there on the channel. I'll put a link for the PayPal. It's also on the Facebook. The Facebook is open and nothing's locked down on there. It's open to all the people. So you guys can go on there, scroll down a few days.
You can make, on your phone, you can make a community post on your YouTube channel. So it's like a post on Facebook or on Twitter, and you can put information about when this event is going to be. You might even be able to start like a GoFundMe to start funding this if you're going to be doing it on a regular basis.
There's a PayPal. There's a PayPal. We already have $300 donated.
Great.
All the are going to be kept, and it'll be total transparent. If anybody wants to ask, whatever's not used, it'll be left for the next one.
Okay.
So let me tell my secretary down there real quick. Hey, Nate, you hear that? You got to do something with the YouTube channel. Put a little post up. I got all my friends and family downstairs right now. The wife, we're doing a big old dinner, man. They all come over to support and hang out.
Dude, that's great. I'm hungry. I wish I was there. What's
Liz be cooking down there.
What's the email for the PayPal? Is it the NAIOU1 at Gmail as well?
I don't know.
Because if you give me,
you know me, I'm not too techy.
That's no problem. Well, I mean, if you find out what it is.
Click on that PayPal. Click on the PayPal on my phone. See what email it's under, please.
Yeah, because if you can give that, we'll give it out right now. We got over 3,000 people watching.
Yeah. Might as well, yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah. So yeah, if anybody is a patriot that lives in the Las Vegas area, or you live in Nevada, you want to get together with Jason, you want to help out with this event to feed our veterans.
Let me tell you a story.
Yeah, go for it.
So I can't give you this one, and I'm gonna tell you why. So we have a family business, right? And this is what happened.
I get it.
Dude, so the news, you want me to tell the story real quick? Do I have a couple minutes?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so guys, you've trained me well, right? So the news comes out the first day while we're out there doing the story hour, and they interview your boy.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? I get the camera out and I say, hey, I'm going to record you recording me. And at the end of the interview, I say, hey, I'm recording you to hold you accountable, and I expect you to be responsible with the footage used.
Right.
It didn't matter. It helped. They didn't do that. They took the opportunity when they ran the 11 o'clock news to make it look like I was against the gay and LGBT community, which it was not that at all. I was there to share information about pedophiles. And what they did, I was passing out my business cards for work because a lot of people were like, hey, are you an organization? How do we get involved? And I'm like, no, we're just some friends and family and group of people. And I'd give out my business card. Well, the freaking dirty news, after they changed the narrative, they zoomed in on my family business card with the logo and doxed me, dude, on the news.
Oh my gosh.
So I spoke to a lawyer. If there's any personal damages, and let me tell you guys, like, I could have made personal damages. I could have got fired. I could have but I don't want to do that today. You know what I mean? I'm just going to let it play out, and so. But yeah, that's what they did. But I will put the post on the channel, guys, and it is on the Facebook. If you guys go to the Facebook, and I'll put it on the YouTube channel too. Please go and look here in a couple hours, and we could really use the support. Like I said, we don't want to turn nobody down. Vets, homeless people, hungry people. I don't care if you'd rather spend your money on some beer a couple hours before and you're hungry and don't want to waste the last $5. Come eat, man. We just want to feed you and love on you and just, show each other that our community still got that. Good right. Stuff. We need that. That's how we're going to get through this. Q was just a template, right? That's my opinion.
No, I completely agree.
The responsibility's always been the people, Red Pill.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
They can only do so much, but we've got to clean it up. We got to do things different, and might as well start now before all the chaos starts.
Right.
I mean, right?
No, 100%. Even if Q never comes back, mission accomplished. All right. People have awoken. And in droves, so many more than ever before. And, that's why I said earlier, knowledge is power. It's up to us to continue to pass it along and continue to wake people up. Do what you're doing right there. So I highly suggest that anybody, if you're in Nevada, get together with Jason, and this is probably one of the most important things, because I've said it before, this life, in the way that we do it, it can be so lonely, you're very lucky, to be able to actually physically connect with people in a real environment, because it's something that is seriously lacking from our lives nowadays. It would be so awesome if I was in a position where I could meet up with people, even just have some friends who were into this stuff that live, in close proximity to me. But it's just not possible. I don't have anybody like that. It's a bummer.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet.
You have to be amazed. You'd be amazed what happens when you put that Q sticker on the back of your truck window.
I've got to wear one "Where we go, one we go all" sticker. And one time, a woman pulled up behind me and started honking her horn, and I thought she was angry at me. And then she was like, "Good going." All right, Jason.
So
we're at the 11 o'clock hour. Tell us about this real quick, and then the vest, and then we
I was just going to tell you, a boy plugged me down and tried to honk at me and say, "Where we go one and go all," and drive off. I said, "No, man, I'm holding hostages. Get your ass over here. What's your phone number, bro? You ain't getting out of here." So don't let them go, man. I love you guys. Oh, hey, I'll make it easy. If you guys want, send me a text message, 702-281-4227, and I'll directly send you the link for the PayPal for the donation with everything on there.
I just want to make sure this is correct. 702-281-4227.
Yes, sir.
That's correct. All right, I'm putting it in the chat box. Send text. All right, great. All right, well, hopefully...
Matrix, don't be sending me no spam.
Yeah, don't be spamming him. Hopefully we don't blow your phone up. All right, Jason. Well, thank you for being here tonight, buddy, and thank you for doing what you do. And I hopefully let me know how many more subscribers you have after the end of tonight. That's great. There you go. You're already getting text messages.
Yeah, already getting them.
Yep.
I love you guys, man. And thank you guys for being here. And I'm proud of each and every one of you, man. And, everybody's doing their part, even if it's just being here, making yourselves available.
Yep.
Like, we'll figure it out. We got work to do. We'll get there. We'll get there, guys.
For sure. We're going to win.
I'm proud of you, Red Pill. You keep killing it, man.
I appreciate it, man. I'm proud of you, too. I love you, too, brother. All right, you guys. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News for Saturday Night Livestream. Thanks for being here, Jason. Good luck, and God bless, everyone.
Thank you, Red Pill.
Yep, we'll see you.
God bless all you guys.